I'm back. So in part 4 of our discussion of I'm Judging You by Luvvie Ajayi, we are going to be discussing the chapter Your Facebook is My Favorite Soap Opera, and it starts on page 161. It also sort of coincides with another chapter, if you're interested in reading that, called Real G's Move in Silence. And Luvvie sort of goes into the various types of social media people that you're going to interact with on the internet. Okay, so just sort of setting the picture. In her belief and sort of in my belief, you kind of have like basically two groups of people on social media. At least like not necessarily just two groups, but these are kind of like the two most notable groups. There's the oversharers, and then there's the people who present picture perfect everything. So Luvvie outlines this hilarious example of somebody who documents their new relationship entirely on Facebook, from start to finish. Everything from the first date to sort of soliciting the approval of people on Facebook to the music lyrics and the pictures atop the Ferris wheel and wondering who took that picture atop the Ferris wheel, the dinners, the outfits, and the eventual breakup, which is also documented on Facebook. On the other end of the spectrum, you have, I feel like a lot of people that fall in this category are kind of like yoga people, like exercise people. They present a picture-perfect life. Everything is like clean eating and yoga poses and being on a beach in the sunshine, and nothing is complicated. They're always on vacation. There's these two like really extreme ends of social media. And it's sort of the unfortunate result of putting our lives out there on the internet. And so, first question, has social media allowed us to create, on one end, a culture of oversharing? Luvvie takes the approach of yes, and if you choose to make your life, in her words, community property, she's going to be grabbing a giant tin of popcorn, watching and giggling at it. I don't know that I necessarily believe that you make your life community property if you put it out there on the internet, but you're certainly opening yourself up to a lot of criticism if you choose to put every intimate detail of your life out there. On the other hand, has social media enabled us to fabricate a totally fake, unrealistic projection of what we want our life to appear like to other people consuming it? So this is the opposite end of the spectrum from the oversharer. It's the person who literally has their boyfriend follow them around on their follow them around their relaxing vacation with a camera to take totally posed, not remotely spur of the moment beauty shots of them to post strategically on their Instagram account. This is a very specific type of person. If either or both of these are true, is it problematic? Are there benefits? Are there problems with this type of culture that we have created on social media? So, sort of looking at the overshare example first. The problem with oversharing on the internet, in my opinion, is that I notice that a lot of people are looking for validation and sympathy from their friends, their e-friends, as Luvvie calls them, your e-friends on the internet. And there's tremendous risk for inauthenticity in that. People are not real on the internet. They present their online selves. And so it's not healthy to be looking for true and real human emotion from an inauthentic platform, in my opinion. People are often on the internet for entertainment purposes. And so your life, as real and as terrible or as wonderful as it can feel and seem, becomes a method of a means for consumption, and that is problematic. It's not healthy. And is it healthy to be seeking advice from random people on the internet? So, and that sort of dovetails into another sort of subtopic of that is, I notice a lot of people posting about mental illness and their struggles with mental illness, their experiences with mental illness, whether it's a lifelong struggle or a temporary, short-lived struggle with mental illness on the internet. And I've had my own experiences with that. So I know that therapy, from a very personal point of view, is expensive, so is medication and going to a doctor. But I also know that seeking advice or sympathy from random people on the internet is not necessarily a great idea either. Miss Martha down the street is not a doctor. And I guarantee you that Miss Martha would be happy to lend you unsolicited, inappropriate mental health advice, or just health advice in general. And I find that to be questionable, not a great idea. And it's one thing if you're not taking the advice, but I do wonder if people are putting things out there because they want to take advice. And you have to be really careful with that. You also, in sharing every aspect of your life, open yourself up to a lot of criticism, unnecessary gossip. So some of the examples that Luvvie gives in the book is like everything from like relationships to bodily fluids, and those are sort of her standards. She says, don't put your relationships on the internet and don't put anything with bodily fluids out there. Everything else is fair game. I'm a person that shares a fair amount of my life on the internet, so I understand that. But you do have to kind of have some rules to live by as to what you're going to share and put out there. Another example that she gave that I recently had come up, she's like, I can't believe when people share pictures of any amount or a total amount of a deceased person on the internet. I did not understand that example until this week when it happened on my Facebook. This is not appropriate. This is completely inappropriate. That is totally disrespectful, in my opinion, of that person. People will put anything on the internet. People who I respect a lot as human beings, who are professionals, who are people that I'm like, they would never do that, they've done it. And I don't understand why we need to put literally everything that happens in our lives on the internet. There's no shame, no amount of respect, nothing is sacred, I've noticed anymore. So I definitely think we need to rein in exactly what it is that we are sharing on social media and be careful and aware and respectful. Okay. However, with all of that being said, I do think that there are some benefits to sharing difficult and personal moments of our lives on the internet. So the benefit to sharing these things is that it normalizes difficult but reoccurring moments in many people's lives. So I think it is great to talk about mental illness. I think it is great to talk about grief. I think it's great to talk about struggles in school or with friendship or whatever, even just whatever, family. All these things are really normal things that happen. It's about how you choose to share them and exactly what you choose to share. And I think that a certain amount of discretion in combination with authentic sharing is really the goal here. Okay, so jumping onto the other side of the spectrum, what I like to call the fakey McFakerson person. The person who's always at a fucking beach in the sunshine and nothing is going wrong in their lives and they're constantly doing yoga. Not that there's anything wrong with yoga because I practice yoga all the time. This person, are there any downsides to only sharing this type of lifestyle? In my opinion, there are. I will be the first one to admit I love a beautiful photograph, I like a pretty picture, I love a beautiful sunset. All of that is great. However, the amount of it that occurs, especially on like Instagram, certain various types of social media, it almost becomes pressure inducing. It feels very disingenuous, especially when you know the person. So it's kind of like it doesn't really matter as much to me when I don't even know the person. But if I know the person, it feels very disingenuous. It feels privileged as fuck. And it's almost like it's inducing pressure for you to perform on that level. And it makes it look like, you know, this life I achieve, this life I have, everyone should have or anyone can have. And it should be of no effort. So that, the picture perfect, spotless, everything is peachy keen, those are sort of the problems that I see with that. Also, we have magazines for that, guys. Like, we don't need that every day. I can go open up a magazine and see picture perfect everything any day of the week. So my other question with that is, who's taking your pictures? I would like to know, because I've seen a lot of people who go on solo vacations who are hanging off a cliff and say that they're by themselves, who have pictures taken of them, and I'm like, who took that picture? Or they were at, some like religious ceremony and somebody took a picture of them. I'm like, did you give your camera to a random person, to a random tourist? Should you be giving your camera to random people? I thought you were traveling alone. Did you bring your boyfriend with you to take pictures of you? I have lots of questions. Luvvie has the exact same questions in her book. Who took the picture of you? I just want to know. I think it's really weird that if you're saying you're on your vacation, solo vacation, having your eat, pray, love moment, that somebody is taking your pictures for you. Did you bring a photographer? I just want to know. Okay. So the last point I'll make about the fakey McFakerson is life is more complicated than a perfect Instagram. Shit is messy, it is wonderful, and it is a wreck sometimes. Perfect pictures of beaches, sunshine, yoga poses, and smoothies is not real life. I feel like it's just fake. So the only benefit that I really see to the fakey McFakerson lifestyle is pretty pictures. And those are a dime a dozen. So sorry, not sorry, it's how I feel. I feel like it's really fake. So there must be sort of a middle point that you can reach between the fakey McFakerson and the overshare. And for Luvvie, that point is to not share anything about relationships or about your bodily fluids, and you're good to go. So I kind of tend to agree with her on that stuff. I say also be really careful about your sharing anything about your health. Be really careful about that. Regular people are not doctors. They're not mental health professionals, and they're not going to say the right things, and the expectation that they're going to say the right things is really misguided. So be careful about what you share on the internet. Yeah, those are my 2 cents on it. Do you agree? You may not agree with me, and if you don't agree with me, I would love to know. Share your shit in the comments. I would love to have a conversation about this. Bye!